I'd like to show you why knowing your why is the start of your journey. Without a strong why, it can be so difficult to reach your maximum potential. My name is Dr. Jason Ballara, and every week I meet with real estate investors and mindset specialists that are taking action in order to build a life according to their own terms. We will break down what drives successful people and allows them to achieve at such a high level. If you are a professional wanting to break through, or simply someone that wants to hear an inspiring story, the Know Your Why podcast is made for you. Hi everyone, I'm Jason Ballara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today I'm here with Susanna Medrano. Susanna, after 15 years of being part of the legal industry and working for several national and local nonprofits, she decided to make a change in her career path. Bio is very impressive, Susanna. And first of all, I guess I'll start with thank you for coming on the show today. I very much appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for the invite. I'm very honored to be part of your show today.
So why don't you tell us your story? Because that's going to be way better than me, sort of reading from the bio.
Sure. So, we can go as far back as, I was just a country girl out of a community, about 45 miles north of Austin. And from there, my parents probably wanted me to go to Texas A&M and be a vet, but I did the complete opposite. I went to the University of Texas at Austin and, of course, majored in government because, that was going to get me so many doors opened in the world, right? It's the
always does.
Yeah, since the whole pilgrimage of being a liberal arts major, right? So, right out of college, went in and started working for a corporate law firm, processing H-2B visas, getting to meet all different kinds of interesting people. And then from there, I kind of deviated a little bit and then started, I became an executive assistant for a Reverend, the Reverend Lydia Hernandez here in Austin, who was one of the nurses that supported Cesar Chavez. So then that kind of opened up a whole new idea within me that was kind of like a sleeping giant that, man, there are a lot of people that need help. And so, from that industry of helping at the time, and this was in the early 2000s, helping immigrants here in Texas, and then that went into the American Cancer Society, helping cancer patients. And then here I am at a gala in 2013, and I run into a friend of mine, and I was a few scotches in, and he's like, Susanna, why don't you become a realtor? Why don't you just quit your job? Let's just go and come and work for me here at this company, which the company I'd never heard of. Like, it was a brand new company. And I trusted my friend. I don't know if you've ever had this, Jason, but like kind of a midlife crisis in 30s where you start to question who you are, what's your value to life. And it started to become, what is my legacy going to be?
Sure.
What is my legacy going to be? So after pondering, of course, a few scotches in, this life change of me quitting my job of making $35,000 a year and going from, all the perks of that, the 401k, the, paycheck to paycheck, I decided, if not now, when? And so I quit my job. I got licensed as a Texas realtor within 3 months and surrendered to this profession in this industry. And I can tell you, I sit in front of you today that was probably one of the best decisions I had ever made in my life, but it was also probably one of the most frightening decisions that I had made in my life because I had no safety net. I had parents, but they weren't going to bail me out at making this like complete life shift. I had friends that started second guessing. Are you sure, Susanna? Are you sure you want to get into sales? Like, what is this? I had the world against me, but I think there was the timing of it. And it just seemed so right at the time for me to do something for myself, not for anybody else.
Sure.
And in that, I played all in, and I started off as a buyer agent at a brokerage here in Austin. Called Watters International Realty. And 9 years later, after scaling every year within within the funnel and having trajectory. I'm now the national sales and leadership coach, not only for that brokerage, but for all other teams that now participate within our model. And it all goes back to a friend challenging me, thinking that I was cut out to do something more than I even ever thought I was ever capable of doing.
Sure. I mean, I feel like a lot of just people I talk to on the podcast, a lot of people, there's that moment. There's that moment in life where you are, you're at a gala, whatever it is, right? You're doing something, and suddenly it's like, whether someone challenges you or you just have this moment of realization, you lose a job, you have a child, something happens, and it's directly impactful as to how you see the rest of your life. But you mentioned it, it's like, now in hindsight, you can look back and say that was the best decision I've ever made. But at the time, it's a scary, sort of big step to make. And I would assume that you're going from a salaried job or an hourly job or something like that, where you have what people like to refer to as stable income. That's a debate, a potential entirely different
comfortable,
debate.
Right? In quotations, comfortable.
Right. Yeah. But going to likely a commission-based job. And so now it's all on you, sales, commission-based jobs, entrepreneurship, all of that. It's like the potential is so much higher, but you have to, you maybe start lower than you were. You have to take a step back.
1000%. You have to take a step back. I mean, my fiance and myself at the time, we were down to one car. Like, we were just trying to make things on our own, and to make this kind of life change. I mean, it was like, no, we're going to play all in. And yes, at the very beginning, it was pretty frightening, but I think it's one of those times, and I reflect back, at all these other potential opportunities that I could have missed out on. I don't think I would have had as much success had I not taken the opportunity as it presented itself in the way that it did, and just fully surrender, like to fully surrender into a new profession, to embark on it, and to start fresh and raw, and just relearn things that, we all think that we know everything, some of us, but to be able to refocus on just yourself, and, the specific actions that you start taking, and, staying in positive mindset, positive behaviors will always provide you positive results. And I know we can say that. So many people have books about it, right? But it's true. Like, the actions you take, the positive behaviors you have, how can you not win?
Yeah.
But they all have to be an equal, an equal triangle, right? They all have to be in an equal triangle.
You have to believe it, right? You have to, you're, like you said, there's lots of books out there about it. There's all, people talk about it on podcasts. I talk about it with guests on this podcast all the time. Those mindset shifts that you have to make, you have to believe them. You have to believe that this is the right move. You have to believe that changing a career trajectory is the right move, and you have to know why it's the right move. And it sometimes takes that other person to suggest it to you, or, you know what I mean? Because as you said, use the perfect word of comfort. It's very comfortable to just keep going to work, right? It's very comfortable to get the paycheck, to have, it's very comfortable to stay the same. And so if you want to be, I'm going to butcher this quote, but I swear I just saw it yesterday. It was something about, like, if you want tomorrow to look different, you have to change today. Yeah. And it's very true. And it's a thing that I'm currently going through. I'm sort of transitioning out of the W-2 world into more of an entrepreneurship. And it's like, at the moment, I make way less money than you know what I mean? So it's like, it's definitely uncomfortable, and I have a family and stuff. So it's like, you have to, but I 100% believe in the direction that this is going to take us and my family. Right. So it's like, Yeah, I'm sure you kind of went through those same shifts at the time in what you saw for your future.
Sure. Well, there were two, maybe three areas where I now know that if anybody is ever, having a mid 30 or mid 20 or mid 40, 50 crisis, and you decide to quit your job one day and start something new, the first thing is you have to be open and willing to become a student of whatever it is, of whatever the direction you're about to go into. I'm a government and Mexican American studies major. I First thing I did is I got a sales book. I'll never forget it. It was the Dirk Zeller Telephone Skills for Dummies. And as you can kind of see in my office, I'm now surrounded by probably a good 500 books. And and being able to go from agent to leader to now coach. Yeah. I mean, I'm self-taught. Like there's no time to go back to school. We're already in the middle of it, right? And so the thing that drove me was, well, first off, was the financial freedom aspect, but also it went back to, if not now, when. And at the time when I was making the shift, my father started, unfortunately, going through another battle of cancer. And as the firstborn Latina, both sides of the family, it made it very real and very raw for me. If not me, who? Not to say that anybody else in my family wasn't capable, but I also didn't want to put it on anybody else. Like, this was my time to take care of the very people who got me to be able to be comfortable, right? To be able to not have to question, things. And so those aspects really drove me into fully surrendering into a brand new profession, and also taking it so serious about making every day, leaving it all in the field. Like, it just completely reignited me every day. I mean, I was waking up so excited to prospect at 8 a.m. It just, I couldn't even wait to get my shoes on and go to the office. And it's funny now in self-reflection when I tell other agents as I'm coaching them, that's the reality. But when it's meant to be, that's how it should be. It doesn't matter how bad it sucks, right? But when it's meant to be, that's how it should be.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. There's going to be parts of every journey, scale, building of these business, whatever your business is, even if it's outside of real estate, there's going to be portions along the way where you're going to have to do the part that isn't fun, right? But if you push that out of your mind and you sort of approach it like you said, like I woke up and I was happy to prospect, probably not because you were like excited to have a bunch of people tell you no.
Get told 100 no's before a yes. Yeah. Right. All the rejection. Yeah.
Right. But if you look at it from sort of flip it around, you're like, but I get to get some yeses. That's if I get through all those no's. Right. Absolutely. And it's like, it's the same thing, when I'm raising capital for a deal, it's like, it was hard at first. Like, a lot of people are going to say no. But then what I realized was like, but when someone does say yes and they get these opportunities that we're, sort of offering to them, like that feeling, it's like you said, leaving it out on the field. I'm really a big sports fan. And it's kind of like, it is like you have, a really tough game. It's a dogfight, the whole, whatever sport you want to use, but you manage to win it on a last second field goal or a last second, whatever, home run, something. That's what you realize that all the time leading up to it was directed towards that portion of it and helping another person. Right. So it's a really cool concept to talk about and like believe in, like that process you went through. What did you do? I mean, aside from, kind of these mindset shifts, what actions did you really take? What did you do to kind of put these things in motion?
Sure. So I found myself every morning at it actually being a new day, building up on that new day. So, in sales and specifically in real estate, there's wins, there's losses, right? There's hunters, there's gatherers. Like, you get to learn all sorts of things, but, to just go out and do it to my full capacity every day, and then whatever happens, and then to detach from it. And then the next morning start up again and do it even better. Now learning from where I failed the day before. It's all about failing forward. I think that's another thing that I think a lot of people are sometimes hard on themselves to admit that, but that's how one gets better, even later in life and understanding that, in my first year in real estate with the team structure that we had, I helped close to 45 families, sold over 12, $13 million worth of real estate. And I know to go from $35,000 a year to, well over six figures, I think I made the right decision in life. Right. But by betting on myself and it being all on me, it was all on me, whether I got up in the morning to do something or whether I got up in the morning to not do something. And so from that, the things that I took from it are, if someone is wanting to make impact, if somebody's wanting to grow, if somebody is wanting to change their current setting and they want to give real estate a try, I have helped coach so many agents now, not only in Central Texas, but across the country, where just in the last year or two now in my new role, I've seen them go from buyer agents now either being a top performing listing agent and or being an actual in the queue in leadership within the organizations right now. And a lot of it is the fact that they surrendered, the sweet surrender to whatever it is they were doing. They trusted in the process and they became a student. Yeah. So they didn't try to reinvent the wheel or think that there's any corners to cut. Like these realtors are, before me, they've written something about it. Why would I try to deviate from something different if I don't know if it's going to work? Of course, I'm going to trust someone who is a proven, tested a situation. And luckily I lucked out with our brokerage that, it was one of the things that, and is still one of the things that helps me scale. Like I'm going to be writing a book in the next month on scripts, like to go from a girl in Leander, Texas, ranching community that was supposed to just be potentially average somewhere and to know that I'll be writing a book next year and that people are probably going to read it. Like it's pretty amazing. Right. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I'm sure that's I love it. The people are probably going to read it. I'm sure that they will. And it's when you reach that point where you've kind of gone through that growth and now you're able to have a large impact, whether that's through writing a book or whatever your platform is. And now you're not even necessarily helping one person at a time. You write this book and now it's like thousands of people buy the book. You've got and read it and it helps them. Like it's just really a cool thing to scale your business, but realizing that by scaling the business, you can actually scale your impact on your community as well. So it's pretty cool picture to realize.
Absolutely, Jason. I mean, it started with just helping the homeowner, whether they're buying or selling and seeing that spark and igniting and building that relationship and helping someone that thought they couldn't find what they were looking for. I hate to quote you too, or, or somebody who, needed to sell and there's challenges, usually, 6 out of the 7 reasons there's a challenge there and helping someone, and being able to get rid of an asset that, may have a lot of memories. And from that, the spark of the clients did something within me where I wanted others to experience, kind of experience those same kind of wins. And so it just organically started shifting to where I was just playing it forward with just debate the agents within my team. I'm like, hey, no, say it this way. Hey, no, do it this way. Or yeah, come along and join me on this consultation I'm going to do. Let me show you how to show a property. And then that just started to didn't become it wasn't a job to me anymore, Jason. It was just something that just to be able to see the spark in people when they get it and to know that it is what they're meant to be doing. Yeah. There's something there I can't explain, but it ignites me every time. And it makes me so damn happy to be able to wake up every morning and know that at some point today, someone's going to have an aha. And I may have been the person that may have created that for them. And it's like a little pebble. Whether it's maybe that client that they close in 30 days, or whether they're another leader that's going to help someone out of another pickle, to be able to play it forward and create those ahas for other people. Like there's no other better role in the world for me. Like I would have never thought that. It goes back to, the decision I made in the summer of 2013, and to be in front of you saying, I found my passion in life.
Yeah. I mean, it's extremely important. And if it is your passion in life, like it's almost, I think it's almost impossible to not succeed, right? It's like, if you believe that strongly in it, and it's like, it's something that you would do regardless of the result, then you can really be, there's no end in sight, really. So as a national sales and leadership coach, what are you doing any more sales, or are you just working directly in terms of training?
Absolutely. I went to go visit one of my former clients that I sold a home in 2016 yesterday. I helped him buy something in 2016 because he had a baby on the way, and had recently gotten married. And then life shifts. 6 years later, I get the phone call from him about a month ago and said, "Hey, Susanna, so the baby's doing fine. They're now in middle school, or, and we're getting divorced. So can you come sell my house?" So, I mean, the thing for me, I think this goes for everybody who is in any kind of leadership position or is ever playing it forward. If you're not in a position to get your hands dirty, just like what you expect from others, what kind of buy-in are you ever going to have from people? Absolutely. I still help my buyers. I still help my sellers. I think at the end of the day, I'm a realtor first, and then everything else kind of bubbles up around that. Like my gift is the fact that, taken from all the other roles that I've had, since college, I can package it up very well and to become this badass realtor, right? But in that, I need to know and stay in tuned with what the market does. I mean, we're in the middle of a market shift. I've lived through some of that, 4 or 5 years ago. It's kind of replaying it, just the different set of characters. But at the end of the day, it is about that. It is about, you still need to stay true to what got you in a leadership position to begin with. And if not, I've seen a lot of people just get lost in that, or 5 levels of leadership. Sometimes they just get stuck in the first or second level of just the title, or just the position, or just, you have to do things because I'm telling you to. No, I have found that if I am a leader that is willing to make the same sacrifices that my agents are making, and also get my hands dirty, take a phone shift if nobody wants it, conduct an open house if agents aren't available, it just builds up even more credibility on that's what it takes. That's what it takes in this profession. And if they're not able to do it, I'll do it for them.
Yeah, I love that. I think I 100% agree that that's a huge part of leadership, in that you will, nothing's below you, I guess. Nothing's beneath you, in the sense that, like, yes, you might have moved up the ranks, you might have scaled your business, you're now, part of the national team for whatever company, but it's at the end of the day, like, you really do kind of need to know how to be there at the ground level when
you can't forget where you came from, right? You can't forget where you came from. When you forget where you've come from, that breeds into problems.
Yeah, I think that management and leadership that's too far removed from what is actually happening at the, I don't know, boots on the ground level, I think it just gets very disconnected and doesn't work well. I think that's a huge thing. Let me shift gears a little bit, Susanna. I want to ask you some of the questions that I get to ask every guest, and I want to. You're unique to some of my, to a lot of my guests, in that you come from like the real estate sales world, which is pretty cool. So I may tweak the questions a little bit. But first one is related to the name of the show being Know Your Why. And so what is your why? What drives you? I know you've talked a bit about some of those broader pictures, but for you, what's that thing that makes every day exciting?
What makes every day exciting for me is to be able to be relentless every day. And what I mean by that is, what started off for me early on in my why and in this trials and tribulations was financial freedom, to be in a financial place that I could make better decisions, not only for myself, but for my family. But now it's about helping position others to make those same types of decisions. And know that someone has already failed forward for them. Because, if I'm going to give you advice, I probably have already screwed it up at least 3 or 4 times. And so that's my why. It's like, hey, you know what? Here's an aha. Let me go ahead and give you the answer to the test. I already know you're going to screw up in 2 months because of the way you're going. You may still go your own route and still do this, but let me go ahead and tell you, this is what you need to look out for. These are the bumps in the road. And then that's the thing in the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really funny that well, I guess it's just a matter of, kind of trying to shorten the learning curve for other people that shorter than what you had, if you don't have that same guidance. And it's true. It's like I feel like for me too, a lot of what I've learned has been by making the mistakes and or not even necessarily a mistake. It's like, oh, I did it this way. That's probably not the best possible way that you can do it. And so let's explore these better options. So I think it's a really great to be in that situation where you're teaching others and helping them hopefully avoid some of those scenarios.
Well, it's a profession that, there's 1 million plus realtors in the United States. And in that, there's probably 150,000 realtors in my state of Texas. And I can tell you early on, when I was a novice realtor, having a lot of opportunity early on, 45 transactions in the first year, then 60, and then being able to go around the multitude of the other side, and how sometimes the other side is just, what are they thinking? Like, is this your 1 or 2 houses that you're going to sell this year? And knowing that, what if I could make an impact on this profession by making people better? Because not only for the consumer, like we can't even go there yet if we can't even fix how our profession is, but making our profession better so that the consumer can have even a better experience. Like it started to ignite within me the importance of that, and just to really play it forward and represent. I mean, I don't care even if someone's on another side of a transaction that's in a different brokerage. Very recently, I had to sell my brother-in-law's house, and there was a fairly new agent. It came out once I got the offer. This is probably the first offer this agent had ever done. And, it's okay to nudge them and just say, okay, so you really want to put that on box 11? Do you really want to put that on box? Because at the end of the day, here's the thing, Jason, it's going to affect me at the end of the day, even my client, if something is not put correctly, right? So what's the harm in me helping advise someone? Of course, I'm not betraying or going against, making sure that my client wins and everything, right? But it's, taking a few moments to just kind of help guide someone so that it can be smooth for everybody. Or I could be just the complete opposite and just and hold someone back, and then knowing thus it's going to directly impact my client.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes total sense. And it's like if you're able to sort of step back and just say, I'm just here to help, and people can accept that, then that's huge. It doesn't matter which side you're helping, right? Everybody,
right,
at the end of the day, they realistically want the same thing. Whoever's selling their house is selling their house because they need or want to, and whoever's buying the house is buying because they need or want to. And it's
they
just
need or
like,
want to too. Let's make it a great experience for everybody.
Right.
Why do we have to be against each other?
Right. Might as well just have it go well. There's no reason to make it this contentious thing. So no, makes a lot of sense. Tell us something about yourself that isn't common knowledge, a special skill, a hobby, something that, just lets people get to know you a little better.
Well, would you think that I can cook a mean brisket or pork butts? One of my secret passions on the weekends, if I have a weekend free, is being able to get up at like 3 or 4 in the morning, get my smoker pit going with some cherry wood and some post oak, and throw on a 15-pound brisket and just nurse the hell out of it for 12 hours. And that, by the time that you're smelling the smoke and dealing with the meat and fighting with trying to get it at that 165 temp before you can wrap it, and then you got to wait to get it to 202. It has to be 202, not 203, 202 to finally pull it out, pull it off. But by that point, you don't even want a bite of that damn brisket. It's about having the others that are going to come to your house to enjoy it. So for me, in the last 3 years, it was my dad's smoker, and in honor of him, I say always I'm sending him cosmic smoke signals, kind of in the middle of the night. But it makes me feel very connected with him because that's what he would do, and it's like for me, I've become. From what I'm being told, even my father-in-law just recently complimented me. I cooked 2 racks of ribs on Sunday and smoked some sausage. And he's like, damn, Susanna, girl, you're getting better. I'm like, that means a lot. Yeah, thank you. I got up at 4 just for you so that at noon you could have this perfect plate of, plate of ribs. So for me, that's just something that people may not know about me is that in addition to being an avid reaver and a realtor and a coach and a whatever, I like to smoke barbecue, and I am a big Green Bay Packers fan. Hence my Vince Lombardi right behind me.
Packers.
Dad and Vince Lombardi. There you go.
The smoking brisket fits if you grew up outside of Austin, but the Green Bay Packers doesn't fit. That doesn't.
Well,
where'd that come from?
Well, my dad was a big Dallas Cowboy fan early on. And as a little girl, yes, apparently, unbeknownst to me, there may have been a cheerleading outfit in one of my Halloween costumes as a girl. But later, like probably around, junior high school, and being forced to watch football on Sundays and watch the Cowboys and my dad and the whole thing, I instantly picked the most annoying team like uniform to just be the one that I would cheer on. And it stuck. I mean, to this day, I have the cheese head. I'm not allowed to, my wife doesn't let me go out in public with it, but I try to sneak it out on Sunday games. And it just has become a thing over the last 10 or 15 years. People just know. I mean, I even have Packer underwear. It's just a weird thing. So
if your dad's a Dallas fan, he must hate that. I mean,
It was a fun time to watch those games. I mean, they would always play each other at least once a year, and it would be an interesting time.
There's been some big games between them.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So that actually, for me, surprises me far more than the brisket thing, because I used to live in Houston. We had friends that lived in Austin. It was like, there is nothing better than Texas barbecue. Like it's, I live in Los Angeles now, and like, we've tried to get Texas barbecue from restaurants. It's apparently impossible to do outside of Texas, because it is such it's such a process that like you said, like it's got to get to 202. Like, I know what you're talking about because I've tried to do it, and it's like I've never been happy with the ones I've made.
No, Jason, it's the stall. It's that stall to 165, and that's when you have to wrap it. And if you don't, it will dry out. And if you do it prematurely, it's like this rough piece of like meat that you can't even slice. There's just something magical about that 165 stall, and and it's usually a 2 or 3 hour stall before you can wrap it.
It's true. I don't know how many people listening to this are going to have any idea what we're talking about right now, but I know exactly what you're talking about. And brisket is like probably my favorite thing in the world to eat. Like I would, whenever we would get barbecue, and still, even though it's not Texas barbecue, like we get barbecue, I love brisket. So I will someday
well, you can
need
follow
to show up in Austin.
If you come to Austin, I'll definitely cook you a brisket. Or even the other thing I've been really perfecting is my pork ribs. But I'll do this, like a lot of my agents follow me. I mean, that's kind of thing. I follow them too. And like in my stories, I will start with step 1, like the ribs from the grocery store, right? When I start my fire, the actual spritz that I use, it's always Crown Royal apple vinegar, honey and apple juice all mixed in together, a third. And, they get to see the whole steps. And then by Monday, I hear from them, Susanna, like you made us go get some cheap ass barbecue somewhere. And even though it wasn't probably as good as yours, but your story really presented it very well.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely check it out, but maybe I can get some tips and get one right. I just can never get it quite right.
We just went off the rails. Sorry, Jason.
I love it. That's perfect. That's perfect. And that actually it brings up a good segue to the next question, which is when people hear this and they want to reach out to you, whether it's for realtor advice or smoking brisket advice and ribs, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Sure. The best and fastest way is going to be through my Instagram is Susanna.Medrano. Would be the fastest way. You can also find me at Watters International Realty, where I'm still a realtor, but then also, all the other supporting roles that I have within the organization. I am also offering a free sales course currently on prospecting better. It's salesminicourse.com. So if anybody wants to check that out, and just it's a free 3-part course. It's like 30 minutes of just trying to help motivate whoever is having some aversion to doing the very thing that we as realtors need to be doing, which is prospecting. That's also another way to find me as well, Jason.
Perfect. We'll get all that in the show notes too, so that they have it. Last question for you, Susanna. What is a piece of advice that you would give to someone who is starting out? I guess staying on topic, starting out as a realtor, kind of
Sure.
trying to get into that field, that maybe they're making that transition that you made from your legal and nonprofit career. What would you tell them to sort of help them out? I'm sure some of this is in that education.
What I would tell them is every day they have to give it their absolute hell. And in Spanish, it translates to dale ganas, meaning every day that you are trying to make something of yourself in the industry of real estate or even in sales, you got to play all in. And there are going to be days where you get in your head about it that you think that you can't. Doesn't matter. You got to just throw that off. You got to throw that off your shoulder, and you just got to give it your absolute hell.
Okay. I think that's great advice. There's no, I truly believe if you do that, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
There's no, you can't, if you give it everything you got every day and you don't quit, there's no failing. You'll just keep, you'll get there. Who knows how long it takes, but you'll get there.
Another day of scaling.
Yep. Exactly. Well, listen, this is amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything that you shared with us. I appreciate the brisket tips, and I look forward to. I'll have to try again, and I'll follow all your tips, and I'll
sounds good.
Let you know how it goes.
All right, thank you, Jason. It's been an honor, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Absolutely, thank you. All right, we'll sign out there.
I'd like to show you why knowing your why is the start of your journey. Without a strong why, it can be so difficult to reach your maximum potential. My name is Dr. Jason Ballara, and every week I meet with real estate investors and mindset specialists that are taking action in order to build a life according to their own terms. We will break down what drives successful people and allows them to achieve at such a high level. If you are a professional wanting to break through, or simply someone that wants to hear an inspiring story, the Know Your Why podcast is made for you.